Wait, this is weird. Do you guys mind if I'm gonna send some photos in the email? It's just like people who have been subject to anti-group violence. Is that okay with everyone?
That's fine with me.
Okay. Sorry, this is like I don't know what I just did, but and then the names are below. All right, it's sent. Let me know when everyone gets it.
I'll let you know when I get it.
All right, perfect.
My email was a little slow last round, so it might be a little bit of time.
Yeah, that's fine. If you need me, actually, I'll record it anyway. Let me know when you guys get it.
Haven't got it yet.
La Costa, have you gotten it?
No.
Okay. It may have taken a sec to send.
It takes a while. If you want, you could, if it works for whatever your app is, you could try file share.
Yeah, I can check it out. Let me just put the pictures in a doc. Actually, no, I'll just put it in the same doc. Have neither of you guys gotten it?
Did you the email?
Yeah. Just
Not yet.
make sure before. Okay. Costa, have you gotten it?
No, not yet.
All right, yeah, that's fine. I'll just put it in the file share. Let me pull it up. All right. The photos are at the bottom. Oh, wait, put it in the file share. But the photos are at the bottom of the AC. All right, I sent it. So let me know if you get it. All right.
I'm opening it. Yeah,
okay,
I got it in the file share. I'm just opening it now. All right, I am ready. I'm gonna mute myself, and you can start when you are.
Perfect. Acosta, you got it? Yep. Okay. Before I begin, trigger warnings, like not really graphic, but depictions of anti-core violence. Is that okay with everyone? Yep. Okay. Part 1 is our sentencing communication space such a being reinforced, maintains this, and don't attribute to create identified core bodies in space. We have instructed excuses and such a debate against the fighting position as divisions. We're not able to understand and heteronormative space to rely on all three. Communication skills, family, updated, anybody, it's a homework, sexual bargaining, heteronormativity, we're from human beings, that's a lot of business, violent, harmful, range of people, we're really family, courts, fighting, those great openings, dash, and fire tricks, Germany, scholars, get the binary, that's a role of justice, critically analyze and rejects heteronormative substance in the debate session about scholars meant to adjudicate the wrong, even equal for the educator, but a crude racial class within the space of the deconstruction of cis heteronormativity is a prerequisite for being. We have to discuss queerness and cis heteronormativity in order to provide for acceptance in the space for non-routine. Challenge heteronormativity should be better with the discussion for our students with opportunities about understanding that being adjusting heteronormativity helps us to provide acceptance of the teaching about these issues necessary to have these LGBT people recognize the positive way that the base face excludes me of the of the world, the political and structure which exists exclude me, coerce, kill all the time because they are different. We are shameful. What are we? We're the fag who's way too femme, the butch horse girl. We are all those. We are criminal. Gay 14. We've always been the other alien. The story records always been sexual deviants. We've been excluded, forced into concentration camps, sex slavery, different sexuality, reproduce themselves. The rest of us, there is death. Queers of criminal homosexuality. Criminality must be conflict, which was deep disorder, meaning my exile, conspirators, our bodies are being destroyed by pharmaceutical companies. We've had our bodies and desire souls, plus our bodies are treated as merely sexual objects. Transit gay panic, crucial for us. One of us is killed by his sisters when they left the murderous time to prison. In prison to 4 years makes you wonder why would he prison, doesn't it? This results in forever for people to understand we are people. If you don't treat us as people, we won't act like it in the fucking back alley. Assembly 11. The practice of kill functions under the transit gay panic presents these strategies to argue the murder engaged discovery of the subject Furnace Martinez of California's transpanic kids after admitting stabbing a gelatine transmitted 20 times with the parents of the defense often use that murder is engaged in sexual victim for hers. Queers are life to start its own. I don't want to force simply to murder but push them out of time. The overkill of patron for ourselves has told us nothing of brutality. The category of human abuses assumes generality. Queerness inhabits the compromised person of his own death with the thought of human and queerness to go with outside a double the liberal democracy. The overkill is present outside of avoid constant liberal democracy. Queerness overkills of heartbreaks expression of the vertical, the queer nothingness, the base of force defensive action. They affirmative required to put our best smiles and defend politician like good. A path to queers. We're told we have to see like the state. We're not allowed to participate. This perspective is violent against our autonomy. They make us legible and passive. Help us relevant. This is like a statement to accept the order of things and internalize and deploy anything with the logic of the beauty or unless we race that price up. There's like a practice of knowledge, legibility, care, technique, sorting, organizing, and profiting. Legibility is condition manipulation. Instead, legibility may be one way to escape the political manipulation, which all the university fields and discipline of subject. Legibility is application for all kinds of subject to or manipulative perceptive and to become legible and visible. Knowledge practices that refuse for and content journalists mechanic led to unbounded forms of thinking disciplines define like code normalization, the function of academic and the academic legibility, the function of the academic reproduction of hegemonic structures with the system that surround us manifesting the queer criminal. There's only one alternative except for criminality and embrace it will never be the goodest issues. This is the state debate and other hegemonic structures that brutalize us and condemnation wants to be from queer criminality. We engage in crime shows the patchwork criminality with the affirmative itself and violation subject to not typicality. We came to debate for this debate and by doing this potential conflict existence for debates, but there could be a conclusive queerness for a world that could let us be in peace. Gang 18. Our proposal circles new forms of life from before Antichrist devotion to the new world emerging a difference in such order dying with the war with those who would defend to the reanimated force. The moment was always been anarchy, has always been the world around it, but not in it one by one. Once you industrial revolution possible to die, some patchwork we've experienced in ways which to live in this new world. We have gone to the corners of the world announcing the friendly skeleton of our magic. Do be gay, do crime the world vows of the who was best performatively or methodologically reference normativity. No 1 point nothing else was queer liberation. Queer people entered the debate space. People 2.0 debate something. Debate is a game, but it's a bad game. It's filled about rubbers. It's points cards. This T framework. Fuck off with your assimilation. Game 14. Queerness in position for which attack the normative more the liberation of queer peoples and church the annihilation of the state, the LGBTQ political establishments become a force of assimilation, gentrification, capital, state power, gain indies become a marketable commodity and a device to withdraw from the struggle against domination. Now they don't keep marriage, military state with canvas for queer assimilation politics, advocates for such previous institutions rather than annihilation of them all. We don't need inclusion in the marriage. We military they say we need to end them. We need to destroy construction of normalcy, create a set of position based on all alienation from the normalcy and what people dismantling their bodies have been ordered into conflict disorder. We need to deepen that conflict, make it spread, and state acts to regulate bodies by meshing them within these norms that determine what kind of lives or lives are deemed livable or useful by shutting down the space possibility, imaginative transformation where people's lives begin to exceed and accept the state's use of space creates a space wherein it's possible to desire to flourish. This space requires conflict in social order, negation of the world. We must become bodies and revolt to be at war with everything. Criminality, negation, control, and destruction was oppressive movement of the gays and a big fuck you to hetero restrictions. Queers rise up to destroy your oppressive structure. We would do it gracefully. Gang 14. We must create a space where it is possible to desire flourish, rise conflict with social order, desire, and war structure to confine desire. It is still we do live daily. We understand that, but we must understand the stage so we can become powerful from the murder party. Of course, when the city where the smash windows and glass doors, the frame born rupture with must challenge person authority, must be some negation of the world, must become bodies and revolt, must be in conflict with them, with regimes of the normal. We tear this one to the ground. We put the hottest sex everywhere and all of a sudden, and all the ways where we aren't supposed to. A bully pushed me out of the car and called me faggot. I punched him in the mouth. Then, of course, my fist in his face is far sexier and more liberating than any MTV ever offered. Our generation, the analyzation, and the gay should come before liberal mobilizations regarding self-destructive political action. We should be asking what conditions could have possibly led to this rather than is this terrorism or is this suicide? Argue 14. Is analytically and politically worthwhile to dissociate the weaponization life of this conceptual apparatus enable us to situate this form of action within three different session of power and the political and normative judgment which should become ultimately resistant when condition for right self-inflicted death for resistance and power and instead of opposing moral justice characterizations of suicidal terrorist studies concerned with the understanding the relation to conditions and just assuming creative judgment also lets be attentive to the multifarious ideological, political, cultural aspects. Now, part 2 is the underview. Put away your tactics unless you want to lose to the firm 1A. 1 point, the 1A is anarchist. The policy should be to understanding capitalism operates and destroying capitalism. This card is fire. Game 14. perspective of queers within heteronormative lens, we can critique and attack the apparatus of capitalism and a queer position to attack the normative order, stabilizing for the opposition normalcy, we destabilize the problem for totality, which group people truthfully ties of annihilation, capitalism, state those who struggle for real racial struggle against capitalism, racism, patriarchy, and the empire of these positions can become tools of social force ready to become a complex empire that will skip the second point, 2.3 point. The one is radical counter narrative that reconfigures the terms of very free that conform to the rules of the game is necessary to stabilize social control, making less regime. Configuration process knowing less radical screaming for apparatus and necessary not to change the content conversation as method change the term going find disciplinary to the controversy conflict of interpretations. Cut the card to interpretations. So hold on, I can't hear you if you're talking. Give me a sec.
Yeah, they're muted. La Costa Canyon, are you ready?
Where are you talking?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Are you open to cross-examination? Just tell me when you're ready.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Is the judge ready? Okay, 3 minutes of cross-examination starting now. Did you have a value or value criterion for that?
What do you mean? I mean, I guess value criterion, or rather the framework, would just be the roll of ballot.
Okay.
But, yeah. Fine.
Yeah, can you explain how many parts did you have?
2. It was just the case stuff, and then, the underview.
Okay, can you explain those 2 parts?
Yeah, so the thesis level claim of the affirmative is that queers are subject to queers are deemed criminal throughout not only the state but communicative spaces like debate. So we're deemed criminal in debate, communicative spaces like debate, outside of debate, queerness is just criminal. And that's because there's a couple of warrants for that. There's just the warrants that I use, in a heteronormative world, which we've warranted the world is heteronormative, queerness is not able to be understood and deemed fungible, so we're excluded and deemed criminal. 2, there's futurism stuff as well. But there's some warrants for how. But yeah, we're deemed criminal. Because of that, the state subjects us to overkill, in which it tries to push us out of space and time and literally annihilate us from this planet. And that's the ontological status of the queer. Yeah, there's some implications to that about how that operates in debate. Do you want me to explain this as well?
Yeah, can you just give me quickly?
Yes, so we say that the debate space is violent, i.e. that the Elia evidence articulates that communicative spaces like debate are violent for 2 reasons. 1, the knowledge production which occurs in debate is anti-queer, and so it creates heteronormativity outside of the debate space, which contributes to the deeming of queerness as criminal. And then inside the debate space, insofar as the debate space is heteronormative and communicative spaces like debate are heteronormative, queerness is not able to be understood within those spaces and thus are excluded. That's 2 reasons why debate is bad. And then the third one is articulated in the Halberstam evidence. We say that in the Halberstam evidence that the state wants our death, and so in the debate space, things like topicality and stuff, which require you to defend a policy action, that those are inherently bad insofar as it's premised on queer people defending something that's inherently oppressive to queer people. So that's a few warrants. And then do you want me to explain the underview as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the underview is just preempt to the first card, the Gang 14 evidence, preempt to capitalism, to any cap gay. Just saying preempting the perm, that with the destruction of the state and queer anarchy and affirming our method, we're able to queer anarchy is a way to challenge and tear down capitalism, which is ultimately solves for capitalism. Such as a preempt to any capitalism critique. If you're not running one, there's no reason to worry about it. And then the other point, the Magnola evidence, is just it's almost laying out what the 1AC is. So saying that the 1AC literally just reconfiguring the terms of debate and it's radical, right? So we're not adhering to the normal rules of debate, but rather reconfiguring our terms, reconfiguring it to liberate ourselves and say fuck you to a heteronormative space and rupture it. And that's by rupturing that space, it's a way to, it's a method of queer anarchy. We're able to actually rupture the debate space and tear it down, which allows for queer liberation and allows us to be able to potentially build a queer space or a queer state or something like that.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I hope
yeah.
it made sense. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I'm going to take some prep time right now. I'm going to take 3 minutes.
Sounds good.
Starting now. That's my timer. Let me get up my 7-minute clock.
What's the order gonna be? Can you send the NC, please?
My order? Yeah, so my order is going to be the negation speech, and then I'll go over the affirmative case.
Okay. Can you send the doc in the file share?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And then on the app speech, where are you gonna start?
Sorry about that?
On the app speech, where are you starting? Just so I can get my flows.
I will be going over your first part first.
All right, perfect.
Is it fine if I share it to your emails? 'Cause I can't.
That's fine with me. Yeah.
Okay.
Emails is fine. It's just it's kind of slow. So.
Lucas,
Yeah,
you're
sorry
muted.
about that.
Am I muted?
Oh no, I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Wait. Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm talking, so I think it's an issue on your side.
I can't hear you. I can hear Costa, but I can't hear you, Lucas.
That's weird. Can you hear me now?
No. I can see you talking. I just can't hear you. And I think it's okay for now if we need to figure it out later.
Yeah.
Because I can like see you speaking and stuff. So if you can say yes, I can like read your lips or whatever.
Costa, you can still hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you, Lucas.
Okay. My mic is showing that it's recording, so I think it might be an issue on your side, but we can see. Yeah, we can both disconnect and reconnect at the end if it's needed. Oh, right, you can't hear me.
Vestavia Hills, can you type in the chat your email?
Yeah, of course. Sorry, my cat's being loud. Let me mute myself.
I just got it. Is it a Google Doc? Costa?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm ready. Okay. Can you hear me now? You can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. All right.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'm ready to start.
I have not gotten an email actually.
Davis, I just sent it. I don't know if you've gotten it yet.
No.
It was shared as a Google Doc for me, so you might want to check that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. All right. I'm ready. Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, let me just get up my timer. 7-minute. Yeah, just so everyone knows, I will first be going over the negation case, and then I will moving on to the affirmative case.
All right, sounds good.
Is everyone ready?
Signpost. Yeah, just signpost on the affirmative, please. Thank you.
Okay. Time starts now. I stand in negation of the following resolution: resolve the appropriation of outer space by private entities and unjust. This gives clarification and takes round off the following definitions: appropriation, the action of taking something for one's own use, typically without the owner's permission. Outer space, the physical universe beyond the Earth's atmosphere. Private entities, any person or private group or organization. Unjust, not based on or behaving according according to what is morally right and fair. For this debate, I propose the value of autonomy, the quality or state of being self-governing, especially the right of self-government. My value criterion for this debate is deontology. Deontology is an ethical theory that uses rules to distinguish right from wrong. It just requires that people follow the rules and do their duty. Contention 1. Economic inefficiency arguments are backwards. First, the most efficient and effective way to spur the development of better space technology is to encourage private commercial space flights. Government funding was no doubt needed at the inception of the space program because there was no understanding the space commercial value. Now, however, tremendous amounts of private money are being invested in space-oriented projects that's without ownership rights. Ownership rights would speed up space development, which would pump even more money into space technology. Furthermore, money would go into needed areas. The industry would become self-sufficient, free the need for government funding. Pioneering space flights may have been positive externalities, but this would be perhaps the most important one of all. So even though the prospect of ownership might stimulate some early space projects into a premature and less efficient start date than would otherwise be the case, these early endeavors bring the future of space technology a great deal closer to the present. The appropriation of outer space by private entities will ensure autonomy, since it will result in economic efficiency. Conception 2, private appropriation is the only just institution of property. The account of original appropriation thus serves the function of individuating property rights. It allows previously unknown objects to become covered by the justified property rights of particular individuals. Without it, we would lack an intuitively appealing means of identifying whether a given set of holdings that arose from a situation in which there were no property rights constitutes legitimate property. Without it, we would lack the means of establishing the legitimacy of something that was not yet owned coming into someone's possession. This is the role of original appropriation. It involves specifying certain acts that signify that a person can legitimately claim to have property right. It involves specifying what counts as original appropriation. The appropriation of outer space by private entities will ensure autonomy since it is the only just institution of property. Now moving on to my opponent's case. The whole first part of his case was looking how queers are not accepted in debate, which the whole thing was looking at if this is even topical to the case. My opponent had said in this case that it's topical since queers are not going to be accepted in this debate. So when we're looking at this it's not a good rebuttal to topicality in looking at how this case is not topical to the resolution. So his first and second parts of his case thus are dropped because the whole topicality issue in the rebuttal was not sufficient to what is needed to be topical for this resolution. So under that, my whole case would stand under being topical to the resolution. And just so you know, I have a value and value criterion. My opponent has not given a value and value criterion for the debate. Thus, my value and value criterion will thus stand for the debate, and all my two contentions should stand for today's debate. And I hope the judge will vote for the negation in today's debate. Thank you. And I'm open to cross-examination.
Okay, perfect. Can I? My cat's like, okay, actually, it's fine. Let me know if my cat has a problem. He's being like really annoying right now. You ready, Costa?
Yeah.
Alright, can you define deontology for me, please?
So deontology, in my own words, I would define it as doing the most good for at least everybody. We can't let a moral action take place if nobody is helped. So even if one person is hurt, then the moral action is not justified.
Wait, so you're saying deontology is about doing the most good for the most amount of people?
No. I'm just saying that even if one person is hurt, that
here. Actually, better question.
Yeah.
Does deontology take into account consequences?
No, it does not. It's only looking at what the action is going to do.
You said it's only going to look at what the action is going to do, but then you just said it's not based on consequences.
Well, when we're looking at an action, it's looking at like what the purpose of the action is, not just looking at the consequences. Because consequences would come.
Oh, so it's about purpose? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Can you explain to me on the value of autonomy, how do you ensure that queer people have autonomy in the debate space?
So when we're looking at people of, I guess you can say lower class, the value of autonomy is
No. I'm sorry. How does the 1NC ensure autonomy for queer people in the debate space?
autonomy. Well, it's
Yes.
the right of self-government. Everyone has the right to self-government.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking how the 1NC and what the 1NC does ensures autonomy for queer people in the debate space.
In the debate space?
Yes.
Well, I don't know how to answer that.
Okay, that's fine. Can you explain the first contention to me, please? Or like explain the evidence.
Okay, yeah. So my whole evidence is going off of how private entities will be able to make the economy more efficient when we're exploring space.
How?
When we're looking at this, we look at resources are going to be put into private entities, and private entities will be able to speed up the process of exploring space.
But how does that ensure economic efficiency?
Economic efficiency for the private entities.
So doesn't it ensure economic efficiency for anyone else?
Well, when we're looking at, well, if the private entities are doing good, then that would mean the economy is doing good.
Okay, what's the warrant for that?
The warrant?
Yeah.
It's in my first contention.
Okay, it's not, but it's fine. Second contention, can you explain it to me, please?
Yeah, so my second contention is on that private appropriation is the only just institution appropriation. So when we're looking at solutions to appropriating space, private appropriation meaning that all private entities should be able to prioritized to be owning space.
No, but what is it saying? Like, I'm just confused on what it's saying. That's my last
So
question.
it's basically justifying that the only way to have property rights is for individual people, not to have a collective people own it.
Okay, that's fine. I'll start. Is it 4 minutes or 5 minutes here?
4 minutes.
4, perfect. Thank you. I still don't understand the second contention. Can you please explain that to me?
Oh, so yeah. Well, it's I don't really know how to like explain it because I kind of already explained it. Would you like?
Like, what is like? How does it relate to the resolutional question at all?
Well, it's relating to the resolution because it's looking at who should be.
Okay, actually, better question. What is the what's the impact? Like,
well,
like explain in your own words because I don't understand the impact on the thing.
Yeah, so when we're looking at autonomy, it's looking at self-government, and when we're looking at private appropriation, it's looking at private entities, individual people owning it, and that basically will thus ensure an upheld autonomy.
So private entities taking space upholds autonomy because it's single people taking space?
Correct.
Okay. Why should we be topical?
Say it again?
Why should we be topical?
Topical to the resolution?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we're looking at being topical to the resolution, we don't want to skew off and debate about other things than what the resolution is telling us to.
Okay, why should we listen to the resolution?
Well, because that's what was given to us. I don't understand.
Why should we listen to if someone tells us a racist ideology, why should we listen to it?
Well,
no, it's all good. Alright, that's fine. Stop prep. 102 left. I'll send out. I don't have like a doc. I'll just send out like some photos. That's it. Do you want me to do that in the file share? Or I'll just do it in the file share. That's fine. Let me get the photos here. Oh, shit. That's one thing. Oh, what the fuck? Alright, I'm putting it in there right now. I just gotta put the names here. There we go. Again, these are just people who have been subject to anti-queer violence. Alright, there you go. Names are right below. Order will be case. Let me get that up. Yeah, case. And then like responding to Top Cali stuff. Then like performative offense, then NC.
Ready.
Everyone good? Yeah, okay. Current structures, both in and outside of the debate space, mark us as criminals. We are not able to be understood. We are different, and we are thus criminals. The debate space, that is a framing issue all around. That was the Eliot, all of it is, which was explicitly stated that queer people are deemed as criminal in the debate space because of the knowledge production, the heteronormative knowledge production, which exists in debate, which translates and manifests itself in anti-queer practices outside of debate, but also the heteronormativity, which is debate. Queer people are not able to be understood and deemed fungible in the debate space, and thus are deemed criminal and excluded. That one completely conceded, which outweighs on 100% strength and length. The debate space is heteronormative through its enforcement of the homo-heterosexual binary, while also forcing us to debate about state action, a state which wants our death, which is also how queer people are deemed criminal within the debate space. The impact, which they would conceded, is overkill, and the continued oppression of queer people. Queer people, insofar as they're deemed a criminal, are seen as bad to the state. And thus, the state and structures which exclude us alike must subject us to a position of overkill, i.e., being pushed and being pushed out of space and time, or being killed. The overkill is Matthew Shepard being literally mutilated after his heart stopped beating, simply because his killers wanted to see his body be absolutely mutilated. This just proves that the goal of queer oppression is not just death, but the death of all queerness. The 1AC is anarchy. It is a way to position. Is a way to like stand up against these heteronormative structures, and a way to stand up against the constant overkill, which we are always subject to. A queer destruction of the debate space to allow us to create a new, more queer debate space where we're able to be accepted. Vote app to destroy anti-queer space and allow for the formation of a queer one, ultimately liberating queer people. That was the gang evidence, which has been completely conceded. To be clear, we think debate in its current form is bad, but that engaging in queer anarchy, we can destroy and build a queer debate space. The role of the ballot is to vote for the debater who best performatively or methodologically ruptures normativity. This means you vote only on offense, which ruptures normative conceptions of reality and normativity. The 1AC is a refusal to conform to the rules of debate, and the rupturing of normativity in outside the debate. This is a way to free first from the chains of social and from the social and from heteronormativity. The role of the ballot we completely conceded. As far as the framing issue on the round, you frame and filter all your offense through it. The NC does nothing to methodologically or performatively rupture normativity. As far as they literally just adhere to the normal rules of debate. The 1AC is a rupture of normativity and a rupture of the debate space. The method of liberating queer individuals means only we have offense under the role of ballot, which means you vote us up. Now, the only responses to the case, I'll do the line by line, were that it is not topical. But one, we don't have to be topical. That's the McNola evidence. Oh wait, no, it's the Top Cali stuff. But you can see the Elia evidence, which says the debate is violent, and the debate is violent. You also see the McNola evidence, which says that deviating from it is good. As far as we're able to deviate from a violent space like this, that's inherently good as far as we're taking control away from a heteronormative space, but also which is allows for liberation, choosing not to defend the topical as queers and liberate themselves, being able to rupture a heteronormative space. Now, we'll extend the performative offense, which we completely conceded. We get performative offense to the people we sent. Marsha P. Johnson, Matthew Shepard, and the victims of the Pulse nightclub shooting were all criminals to the state. The photos are a statement that will not be gotten as a way to rebel against the state. Form outweighs content. One, form shapes the way we view and understand content. Hold the line on new two and responses. They could have responded but didn't, and my 2 hours too short. Excessively outweighs. We can't debate if we don't have access. My performance allows queers both dead and alive access. 3-point practicality outweighs. We need a proposed solution to the people which we were discussing in debate with, i.e. queer people. 4-point probability outweighs. The impact of my performance stay with you. You will have to the photos and poems in you have the photos in your email, which has out around impacts. Now we'll move on to the NT. I don't have to respond to any of the NT insofar as I'm non-topical, which means there's no impact to this because it's not about a question of the resolution, but it doesn't matter because I'll do it anyway. On the value, they said their value is autonomy, but this just flows out because queers don't have autonomy in the debate space only by doing the app ensures autonomy. That was a cross-sex question which they couldn't answer. They couldn't explain to you how they assure autonomy for free people in the debate space, which is a framing issue on this round speed. They don't get access to their value on the deontology value criterion. It's violent. It establishes that going back in time to kill the terrorists who shot up the Pulse nightclub is bad, which is inherently violent. They say following rules is violent. These rules deem queerness criminal, which is violent for queers. Now you can just group the two contingents based on consequences, which cannot be violable under the value criterion. But on the first contingent, we'll answer if there isn't the full spillover. It only helps private entities, which is violent for queer people. We shouldn't help private entities, but destroy them. That was a framing issue. Next, he's on the second contingent. It doesn't make sense. It's ensuring autonomy for private entities, but doesn't ensure for other people. This is queers outweighs the framing issue on the round. Private entities also already have autonomy. So it's not.
Okay, I will take my last 2 minutes of prep time. Starting now.
That was only 1 minute. That's fine.
Oh, was it one?
I thought it was because you said you were taking 3 minutes of prep.
Oh yeah, I'll take 1 minute. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're totally fine. Don't worry about it.
There we go. I will begin my 6-minute negation speech. Is my opponent ready? Judge ready?
Quick question. What's the order?
Oh yeah, I will first be going over the affirmations case and rebuttals, and then I'll be going into the negation case.
I'm ready.
Okay, give me a second. Hold on, give me a second.
No worries.
All right, I'm ready. Let me mute myself.
Okay. 6 minutes starts now. So now looking over the affirmations case, they've responded to topicality by just saying that we shouldn't be looking at topicality since it's not accepted in debate for queer people, which we can totally see that this is against what we are trying to look at in the resolution, and thus the whole affirmations case is not even topical to what we're talking about. Now moving on to the value of our criterion. The same goes for the value of our criterion, thus my value of our criterion stands with autonomy in deontology, and all my impacts stand from that. Now looking on back to my case, my first contention was off of looking at economic efficiency with private entities going into outer space, which would encourage private commercial space flights and encourage more resources being able to be emitted for these private entities. So space or exploration will be emitted for these private entities, and it'll stimulate more space projects for them and more endeavors into space technology a great deal. In looking at the second contention, I looked at the only way we can appropriate space is through private appropriation, since it's the only one that gives property rights to particular individuals, which is upheld through my value of autonomy, which is looking at self-government of individuals. In looking through that, my second contention stands for my value of autonomy. And through my value of our criterion of deontology, we're looking at individual people, and we're looking at my second contention, how private appropriation is thus standing through deontology because individual people are able to appropriate space. and thus my second and first contention stand. And for all those reasons, I urge the judge to vote for the negation. Thank you.
All right, a minute left. I think it's minute 19. All right, start now. All right, just read the act. Just read that case. Everyone ready? All right. Actually, just read case. The world is opposed to the queer. We contextualize this in Gang 18 and Stanley 11, which shows how queerness is deemed as a disease, that we are less than other humans, that we are subject to a death that is worse than any other death because we're not able to be understood and because we threaten the world order. Our message is that we want to destroy the structures that have pushed us out of the space and time. Thus, vote app for queer anarchy. Fuck the system. A queer destruction of the debate space to allow us to create a queer, more queer debate space. Vote app to destroy an anti-queer space and allow for the formation of a queer one, which ultimately liberates queer individuals. The role of the ballot, we conceded that the entirety of the round, which outweighs on 100% strength of link. This is how you frame the round and your ballot. Only the one I see, you only vote on things with ruptured normativity and which allow for liberation. Only the one I see ruptures normativity through its refusal to be topical and adhere to the resolution. That's the only way to allow for queer liberation, and that was as stated in the Vignola evidence. The negative quite literally just adheres to the rules of debate, which means it uses auto vote app on any risk of solvency, on any risk of offense or solvency. The neg literally is not rupture normativity, rather adheres to the structure, which is automatically inherently bad and results in the exclusion of queer people. That outweighs as far as the question of inclusion, which the neg can never guarantee. So this is how you frame this round. One, is debate bad for queer people? If so, you vote app for one of two reasons. One, we're rupturing the space through our decision to be non-topical, which is net good because we're at least rupturing a bad space in this round. Or you vote us up on any risk of solvency. If you think that we can solve any of anti-queerness in this space or in this round through queer anarchism, that's sufficient to vote app because this current structure of debate is bad and the neg's doing nothing to challenge it, which means we're net better. This means you vote app. They have not contextualized anything like presumption in either the one in or the two in about how the affirmative does not solve for anti-queerness. We've explicitly given you multiple ways in which the affirmative's decision to be non-topical and not adhere to the resolution is a way is a form of queer anarchy. We say fuck the system and allow and embrace queer criminality, which allows queerness to take a break instead of forcing themselves to adhere to heteronormative structure, which is just tiring. Now, well, I don't have to respond to any of the negative arguments insofar as I'm not topical, and they're all based around the question of the resolution. But I'll do it anyway. First, you say you go to extend your value of autonomy and your value criterion of deontology, but you've conceded on the value of autonomy that just blows ass because you do not guarantee queer people autonomy in the debate space. That was a cross-sex question. That was a cross-sex question in the NC cross-sex. I asked how they're able to guarantee queer people autonomy in the debate space. They were unable to give me an answer. Only the affirmative guarantees queer people autonomy in the debate space. They're able to take control of the chains which hold us down. We're able to rip them out and allow for liberation. Next, from the deontology argument, no, you've conceded that deontology is inherently violent, is anti-queer because it justifies us not going back in time to kill the terrorists who shot up this Pulse nightclub and killed 49 innocent queer people. That's inherently violent. There's a reason to vote ass. Here's the round. Debate is bad. That was conceded. Got the entirety of the round. A lie at all, halbersome, debate's bad. That means that the 1AC's performance is a rupture of heteronormativity and a rupture of the debate space, which is just good because it allows for queer liberation and it's just a destruction of a bad anti-queer debate space. Good debate.
Oh, you too.
All right, is everyone here?
Yep.
Okay, let me pull this up. Okay, this was a good debate. I voted AF. I think that the AF winning their role of the ballot is winning their role of the ballot, and also is winning analysis as to why the neg value criterion and value are bad, and also they're winning that they probably win under the negative value because they're the ones who best preserve autonomy. In terms of individual feedback for both sides, the AF, I don't have that much specific feedback. I guess one minor thing is more explanations of what the world of the alternative and the advocacy looks like in the 1 AR would be good. What does queer anarchy look like? How is it implemented? And if it is unintelligible, explain why it is a good thing for it to be unintelligible and how it solves the problems you're isolating in the AF. So maybe
Perfect.
like some description of like what type of movements. That's maybe the main thing for the AF. The neg.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. For the neg, the main comments I have are when you're facing an AF like this, which is just deciding not to be topical, you have to change your strategy a little bit, and you can't just like read your generic neg stuff. So some specific stuff of what you can do. Versus any non-T-AF, at least while you're first starting out in responding to these non-T-AFs, it's generally a good idea to go for a theory arg, if you know what that is, which says that they have to defend the resolution. Typically, you would have some standards. So basically, theory argues like, this is a rule that we think should be good for debate. You should have to follow this rule, and here's why. The standards are the reasons why you think they should have to follow this rule. The standards would be something like predictability. The argument would be like, both debaters only prep for the resolution. It's what the topic committee gives us. We weren't able to predict your queer anarchy AF, so the AF is unfair because they have more prep than us, and therefore they should lose because they've done something unfair, right? Which is one theory argument. Another standard would be something like clash, which is if we can't prep or predict the AF, we can't engage and rigorously test its merits. And you can use this to do something like turn the AF's case, because you can say, if we can't test the AF's merits, we don't know if it's a good strategy for liberation of queer people, because we haven't been able to test, because there hasn't been a well-prepared negation against the AF who's able to criticize your methods. The AF will probably stand up in the 1AR and impact turn most of these arguments. They'll make arguments that are pre-set up in the 1EC, such as rules and structures are bad, and the neg is reifying those rules in the violent debate space, which are args that you also have to answer in the 1NC when you're going for T framework. So you want to be aware, like when you're flowing the 1EC, of what arguments you think they might use to impact turn your T framework shell and answer those. I won't get too into the specifics of this debate, but it is one I would start to prepare for non-TFs. Versus queer theory specifically, in particular queer anarchist case, there's also some critiques of the AF that are not T-framework that can still work pretty well. The two most common methods of criticism of queer theory are from the perspective of critical race theory and disability studies, but there are many other criticisms of queer theory that you can find if you just do a little bit of digging. From the critical race theory perspective, you can argue that their advocacy of doing crime carries disproportionately higher risks for minorities versus white queer people, and their advocacy is inaccessible. It doesn't really create any meaningful change. For example, the idea of going out and breaking into a bunch of places and murdering a bunch of people and just like committing a bunch of crime all at once would probably get a bunch of POC people, like they would get shot, right, instantly. But the white people, they would probably just go to jail or something. So you can just argue that their advocacy is like racist in that sense, because it's situated in a position of privilege where only certain people are able to access it, and that means that they're actually worse for like normativity. From the disability studies perspective, you can make a similar critique about inaccessibility of their movement, such as disabled people oftentimes don't have the physical capacity to engage in like organized revolution against the state, or even disorganized revolution against the state, as the AF would probably argue. So basically make some sort of similar criticism about the inaccessibility of their movement, and you can also add on a criticism of their criticism of futurism. The most common criticism of futurism, I didn't look too deeply into the AF, but this is probably what it is that the future is, so a lot of queer theory AFs will make an argument that the future is forced upon queer people for various reasons, and because of that we should reject it, right? But from a disability studies perspective, that's slightly backward, because disabled queer people, through programs like eugenics, get the future routinely taken away from them, right? Because people are not trying to force them to reproduce the future, like queer theory argues happens to queer people. In fact, disabled people are often excluded from the future. And because of that, the alternative should not be to reject the future, like queer theory would argue for. Instead, it should be to embrace it and to provide access to the future to people who haven't had it previously. For example, disabled people who've suffered from programs such as eugenics. So those like two of the non-T framework arguments that you can make to criticize something like this case. There's some more arguments that you can make as well. You can also criticize anarchism from a Marxist perspective, or even other perspective, even if you don't want to criticize their queer theory-based perspective. Their argument that we should have a wholesale rejection of the state might not necessarily be the best alternative to capitalism, and there's plenty of literature out there as well. So yeah, those are some of the things that you can say. All this is on my ballot. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask me.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Lucas. Great round.
You too.
Good round.
Good luck.